Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. Supercoach show, round 24. Wow, so first week of head-to-head finals done and dusted going into week 2. We'll talk about our scores a little bit later. You're looking at your screens. If you're watching on YouTube, you're thinking, hang on, has Jesse dyed his hair? No, he hasn't. It is someone else. He's got a nice tan, got a little accent there as well, but no, it is not Jesse. It's not Jesse. He's actually away tonight, unfortunately, but I'm sending him out the best wishes, just some family things there. But we got Con back. Obviously, there has been some big news. So Con from Freedom Finance Group. So a shout out, first of all, to Con and his team sponsoring the podcast. We're really, really grateful for that. But he's a Dogs fan. So the drums are normally beaten for his team, but today the drums are beaten for something else. And that was the fact that there was some big, exciting news and some important news that actually came out today. For those footy heads, Con, that may have missed it, welcome. Let us know what's actually been announced today.
Thanks, boys. Good to be back. Look, I don't think anyone's missed it. If you're in the country, the cash rate has gone down 0.25%. So if you're a home loan holder, this was probably great news for you to hear. Cash rate's gone down to 3.6%, which is absolutely fantastic. It's music to my ears. Majority of the main banks have already gone and posted they're going to pass on that rate, which is fantastic. So we had the likes, CBA come through off the ranks, say they were going to pass on that rate cut, straight off the bat, which is fantastic. A lot of these major banks now are coming out and, telling us they're going to pass it pretty quick. So that's a really, really good news. We don't have to wait for these rate cuts to come across. So if you're a home loan holder, especially if you're on a variable rate, for the majority of the lenders, you're gonna receive a 0.25% cut. Depending on that home loan balance, you should be saving a decent amount of money every single month. So it's welcome news for a lot of households to free up some money in their household expenses and make that cost of living that little bit more easier. I certainly welcome a rate cut because I am part of that crew that hold a mortgage. So very, very, very welcome cut to see those rates go down today. So for those people that are, looking to enter the market or even they want to save some money on their home loan, and you're not quite sure whether or not you got a good deal or not, now's a really good opportunity to actually, reach out, have a chat with us and see if you can save some money on that home loan. Rates are on the drop. So if there's been a number of months or even a few years since you've reviewed your home loan, it's a really good opportunity now just for people to just touch base. It takes about 5 minutes to have a bit of a chat. Say, hey, Con, I'm on XYZ interest rate. And I can tell you whether or not that's opportunity for anyone to see if they can save some money. 5-minute chat could save you thousands per year.
Trav.
Hey, Con, this is wonderful news. And I've already spoken to you today. I was one of those annoying people, as you said, off air that bulk rang you.
I wouldn't don't call it annoying. Probably a wrong choice of words.
Sorry, man. I'm the annoying one.
Travis annoying, it's okay.
Well, that's true, eh? But Con, I rang you today because I wanted to find out about how much that would sort of roughly be for me and where that would sit. I'm on a variable rate, right? So that means that my rate has changed, and I'm with Commonwealth Bank. So they've announced that. Is this is this for those that are not on a variable rate? That means that their rate hasn't changed, hasn't it? So that's locked in. So is this prime time now to be looking at refinancing?
Look, for any person who has a home loan, if they haven't checked it for a number of years, yes, it's a great opportunity to review it. For people that are on a fixed rate loan, we can also balance it up and compare it to what you're currently on versus what we could potentially achieve. If you've locked in a number of years ago on a fixed rate loan, chances are you're probably on a fantastic rate. And I'd never suggest for anyone to break a fixed rate home loan, especially if you were one of the lucky ones who had locked it in at those 2 or 3% interest rates a number of years ago, which is fantastic. In saying that, a lot of those people who have locked in at those really low rates a number of years ago at that 2% or at that 3% are actually starting to expire now. So it's a really good opportunity if you haven't checked when your home loan interest rate is going to expire. You don't want to revert from your really good fixed rate onto a not a very competitive variable rate. I mean, a lot of those are actually starting to come off over the next few months. So if you're part of the people, or you're part of that group of people that do have a fixed rate loan and it's expiring really soon, that's something that we can definitely assist to make sure that if you are going to come off that fixed rate, you can come off at the best possible variable rate on the market, or even refix it again at a current competitive fixed rate as well. So there are a lot of things that we can do to save people some money at the moment, to answer your question, Trav.
Yeah. Is this a good time now to be looking at buying a property?
Look,
Or
I
getting
think
into investment? Now the
look, I
bank's
think
starting to get lower with the rates dropping is sort of where I'm going to.
I think I get what you mean. So yes, by cutting the rates, you tend to see borrowing capacities improve. Yes, don't get me wrong. I think for anyone looking at entering the market, there's no right time or wrong time. It's just whatever suits that person, and if they're in that situation to be able to secure a loan, that's what I would say. So if you're looking to get into the property market and you're not quite sure what you can and what you can't do, it's just feel free, give us a phone call. We'll have a conversation with you. If it's something that we can support you with along the way and get you finance approved, we will definitely support. It doesn't cost anything to have a conversation. And at the end of the day, someone that may think they're not able to enter the market may figure out that, hey, I can enter the market and I can buy property a lot sooner than what I thought I could. The sooner you enter the market, a lot of the time is you buy it at a cheaper point in the price cycle of that property. Whereas if you were to wait, potentially that property might be more expensive in the next couple of years. So especially when we're looking at prices across the country, the sooner you can get into the property market, generally the better. But obviously that's on a case-by-case basis, depending where you want to buy. And this is where we can have that conversation with you just to see if you can get that loan, or, can you borrow the money to achieve your goal at the end of the day.
I don't want to ask you too many questions because I do want people to reach out and speak to you directly. I've got one more, and I'll be the one that sounds like a bit of an idiot, I reckon, with this question. And I'm happy to do it for our listeners and our followers.
It's pretty normal for everybody, though, Joe.
Yeah, they're used to it with me, so it's okay. Is there like a rule around how many times you can refinance, or a time frame that you can?
No, not at all. And you know what? It's a really common question. There is no rule. You can refinance as often as you want to. I don't suggest it, though. What you need to make sure is if you're ever going to refinance, it has to be worth it for you, because refinancing does cost money. You tend to find the average refinance cost can vary anything between $1,000 to $2,000, depending which bank you're leaving and which bank you're going into. So there's got to be a benefit, right? So if you're going to refinance, you have to get a better rate, and that rate has to basically put you in a position where it's going to hopefully cover those costs of refinancing, okay, and make you money. There's no point in refinancing into a loan that's either, identical to what you have or worse, because then you're going to be in a worse position. So, yeah, to answer your question, there is no amount of times you can refinance. You can refinance as many times as you like, as long as, you're putting yourself in a better situation. You don't want to be put into the same or worse, then it defeats the purpose.
It's a really great time of year for this to happen as well, because I've got no doubt there's people out there already starting to save up for Christmas, things like that. So I think it's what you said at the start of this, was save yourselves some money is the key part here. So I think it's crazy for anyone out there that's listening to this. I know you've already started to have a few people call through or message you, email you through from the page who listen to the Supercoach side of things, just a podcast in general. Guys, like if you're out there, you want to save yourselves some money and not keep giving it to the banks, please make sure you go ahead, give Con a call, email, however you want to communicate with him. He'll get back to you, I'm sure, within hours, if that. So it's please make sure you do that. I'll put his link in the show notes as well, so that way, guys, you have a direct link towards Con. But it sounds like a really exciting time, to be honest with you. And I think you're going to be absolutely flat chat for the next little bit. So we'll try. My
calls are always open at the end of the day. For anyone that just has any kind of question, whatever it might be, I'm always available for a chat, no matter how silly you might think the question may be. There is no silly question when it comes to finance. Any question's a good question. So for anyone listening, if you do have something on your mind and you want to ask it, regardless of whether or not, you think it's a good or a bad question, call anytime. I'm happy to have that conversation. And if there's an opportunity to save you some money, I am more than happy to support any listener to do that.
I've got one final silly question to leave you on. And guys, do not basically hold this against Con, but can the Bulldogs win the comp this year?
Oh, I'm hoping. It's been a long time. It's been a really, really long time. But you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to jinx it. All right, it's been going okay. They've got some good momentum over the last few weeks, so that we're entering the finals. In a
Have you got your grand final tickets?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet.
holding off. I'm holding off, but I'm crossing my fingers, and it's been a long time, to see a Doggies grand final. But I reckon if I was going to pick it, I'd say Doggies and Penrith.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be happy with that one.
Oh yeah. I reckon Doggies.
I'm liking Penrith as well. Con, thank you very much for jumping. I know as you said, you've had a flat out day. So to be coming on here just after 8 o'clock for those listening in when we're recording this, to come on now, no doubt you're going to get up very early tomorrow to start going over everything you need to do. So thank you very much for jumping on once again.
All good, boys. Great being here and having a chat with you guys. And we'll chat again soon.
You're an absolute champ, Con. Thanks, man.
See you, boys. Have a good night.
See you, Con. Once again, guys, that was absolutely fantastic. So please, I encourage you all. He helps and sponsors us. He's helped us a lot so far. He helped us put on our first ever live event, which went off, and so many people were so happy with that. The food, the beverages, everything. So please go ahead, help yourselves and help us as well. The more we get around our sponsors, the better we can be for you guys as well moving into the future. So get around Con, Freedom Finance Group. I'll put in the show notes once again. Perfect time of year to make you start saving yourselves some money. Talking about saving some money, Trav, we can start to talk about Supercoach now, and we can talk about obviously the fact that both of us have 0 trades left. So in terms of saving money and working out trades and things like that, we've got nothing for you. I want to start this podcast by calling someone out here, because even though he's not with us tonight,
yes.
he had the opportunity to jump on board the content train and put the content and podcasts first and put you guys first, because even though you didn't all get around YouTube, there was many comments in group chats and things like that were getting around this idea, and the Legends group, I'll add. And Jesse, you are gutless. You are a gutless one-hit wonder, because Mr. I want to save my last trade. He could have easily gone out, made 2 trades on the weekend, and we're all in this together, singing Kumbaya for the next 4 weeks, going, how good's this? Instead, he chooses to go his way out of it, Mr. Sangster knee pads, and he's got it done. So, Trav, I'm absolutely outraged in this, and I'm sorry he can't defend himself here, but I don't think he deserves it. With what he's done over the last 2 to 3 days, he doesn't deserve to defend himself.
No, look, I'm going to be not as brutal as you, because I know what he's doing, but that's piss weak from him. Piss weak. So and as we called him out last week, right? He's all talk. I'm gonna have all my boosts used by round 6. Well, he didn't, and then he saves a couple, and he goes, oh no, I'll definitely be using some for the buy periods. I'll be making a 4 trade week. Didn't do that. Now he's said, I'm going to have, then he's been asked to go and do, to trade out and have no trades. Like he said on the pod that he would do last week, hasn't done it again. And to be fair, mate, karma's come back to him anyways, because he actually lost ranks on the weekend. So sucks shit. Got a 1-3-2-4, lost 82 ranks. He's 1,869th. So he deserves everything. Didn't make that trade. Should have. Suck it.
Yeah. Look, sucked into me as well, because I'll start off here, because I've got a 1,270 on the weekend. That was absolutely dog poo. I was not happy with it whatsoever. I lost ranks as well. Again, I was shocked that I didn't lose as many as I thought I would. I only went down 379 spots. I'm now 1,761. I think that's just going to continue to nosedive, unfortunately. And what it has meant is this golden inch title at the moment. The plaque is sitting there waiting to go up on someone's wall. Is getting very, very close, because I believe Jesse's only now about 20 odd points behind me. It's crazy. And the man I'll throw to in a minute, Trav, is quickly closing in as if he's Usain Bolt and I'm Mark Tukey in a 100-meter sprint with about 10 meters to go, and Usain Bolt's just coming. So it's looking likely that Trav, with a big smirk on his face, knows the inevitable here, and I feel like it might happen, because my squad, especially this week with no Raiders back rollers, is looking a little bit dodgy. But let's go to the man himself. Trav, how'd you go on the weekend?
Just quickly, what's your total score?
28,933. I think I've got about just under 200 on you still. think.
Yeah. So I think I've actually climbed rank on you and outscored you, 4 or 5 weeks in a row. And I've now got 28,783. So I'm 100 and, what's that, 100, exactly 150 behind you.
Just a teddy behind.
With yeah, I scored 1,413 on the weekend. So that put me at, funny enough, for this type of weekend, 4,546 in the rank. I thought that would have been a bit higher, to be fair. But I reckon a very big majority of those 4,500 people, Captain Teddy, and scored a nice 372. So that was nice. I captained Cleary for 104. He's 106. So that gives me a season rank now of 2,838, and I rose 719 spots. So I saw some green arrows there. No trades for me. I did a couple and I'll put it out there, a couple of weeks ago, so that I could get myself Cleary. I had to trade Strange down to Wishart. Now Strange has a monster week this week, but didn't have a great week last week. But to be able to do it, I went Sandon Swift to Cleary. So I'm points ahead. Plus I've got captain options and things like that. So I actually think that, as my last 2 trades, was a godsend for me, and it's been great. Wishart then goes and pumps an 86. And so not only did he get me Cleary, he puts an 86 and is giving me a number as a starting 5'8", starting halfback actually, for the Storm. So pretty happy with that. But yeah, as I said, I captained Cleary for 104, which was pretty good. And I don't really have too many issues with sit starts because most of them are out. So yeah, I've got a full team, and I've got 3. This week, because of the bye, I've only got 2, but I've got 2 sitting on the bench that, with the way that the Broncos are going and their injuries, Gazevsky, the Goz, I would happily play him this week, but not over my other options. So, I'm looking all right. No trades, though.
You certainly are. It's going to be a very tight finish, but I have a feeling at the moment, if I was to put it at a sports bet market up, I reckon out of the 3 of us, I'd have you slight favourite at the moment. So
yeah, look, to be fair, Jesse's team's pretty good, and he's got that trade. So that one trade he's got is actually, if he was smart, he'd make it and score points with it.
Karma Supercoach gods, punish him and don't reward him with that last trade.
Yeah.
Do not reward that behavior at all. Going into the League of Inches overall comp, Daniel 19158 is still ahead. Still has yet to message us to tell us or confirm what that even means. Hopefully we're allowed to say it on air, but we've said it now for over a month. He's been top of the ladder now for a while. So at the moment he's got a trophy coming his way and the ring. So see how that goes there. In terms of the highest score of the week, so round 23 highest score, Troy Roosters 79, 1,548. Huge score. Absolutely massive. So thanks to Pack Lord. Send us a message. You can get some break credit NRL cards, $10 there. They can get you a little bit. And then message the page as well. You'll get couple of those you can see in the background there, coolers, League of Inches coolers there, thanks to TC Coolers. Shout out, let's get into some of our talking points this week, but firstly, shout out to Sava Sports, obviously, for our hoodies and all the merch that you can see us wearing. If you do want any of the League of Inches merch, please message the page and secure your merch now. Good time to there's probably a month or 2 of cool weather still coming up. So perfect time to grab yourself a hoodie, get yourself a hat, get shirt, get ready for summer, things like that. So yeah, just reach out to the page to get that. We're yet to do a shop. That'll probably be in the off season where we'll sort something out there. Let's go to talking points, shall we? And we normally avoid TLT, but it's at the point now, guys, where there's not a whole heap to talk about because yes, we got to talk sort of openly with everyone in terms of there's some out there that still have a couple of trades. There's others like us who have nothing. So that's sort of like trade talks a bit out the window, but we'll continue to talk with our trades, things like that. We're going to go back to TLT slightly. There's a few big ins and outs this week that it feels a bit rude to not cover and to talk about when it comes to you guys and just setting up your teams, the impact of our teams, things like that, sit starts, all that sort of thing. So let's go and look at Trav. I'm going to go down the list, and what I'll do is I'll read out like 3 or so each time, and then I'll stop, and then we'll just go over them and just see what sort of talking points there is to come out of there. So start off with Gagai, who is owned by a lot out there. He was my final trade in. He's been moved from fullback back into centre. I know he scored pretty well at centre, so I'm not that worried about this one. But to be fair, it was nice seeing him at fullback. He has produced some really nice scores there over the last few weeks. For the Storm, Pappy out, concussion this time, so should just be a week, but who knows? They've really been careful with Pappy so far this year. And as we get closer to the finals, that might be an extra week to where they just say, you know what, let's just look after you. And one other big one is Tino is back for the Gold Coast Titans. A couple of really big names in this one, Trav. I'll stop there for now. Anything you want to talk about with those three?
Yeah, look, I think everyone bought Gagai thinking he was going to play fullback, and he was killing it at fullback in those few games that he was playing. They also picked him because he was kicking. So I think this is a little bit of a kick in the guts. Sorry, pun intended. But this is a bit of a kick in the guts that he gets pushed back out to the centre. Yes, he's been scoring well, but, what was it? It worked out to be something like averaging 60 odd as I think it was 65 or 61 or something like that in the centers, which is good, but not great, and not for those people who used very, like your last very valuable trades on him. And I think that hurts. But I mean, you're living with it. You've got him. You're still going to get your 60 odd points out of him. But yeah, that's a bit of a killer for me, especially now that he's not kicking. That went to Jack Cogger. On the other side of that, I'm really keen to see Cooper Vipano. So let's see how he goes. He could be a nice downgrade target to give you, an extra number and some cash over the problem is that he's not basically where he's playing is not super great for you, but it could be an option for you. The Pappy to the fullback, that came out of nowhere. I don't even know where he got concussed last week. I don't think he even went off. So that's a killer, and he's 23% owned, so that's a bit annoying. But Meany to fullback could be a good option for you. But if you brought him in a few weeks ago, or if you've got him in for head-to-heads, get around Meany if you can. And for those people that held on to Tino, well done. Because you and me were both very wrong, and let's put it out there that we were, because we kind of predicted that we thought that they'd be basically no chance. They'd have locked last spot or whatever out, and there was no point bringing him back. And they've done that with 4 weeks to go. So I think he's come back a bit ahead of schedule too. I think he wasn't supposed to be back till next week, if not the week after, which meant he was only going to play 2 games, maybe 3. So those people that own him, 26.4%, are sitting there going, hallelujah. I know Jesse is.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It's actually paid off for him as well. So that's the Supercoach God's not already not punishing him. So thanks for that. Look, he's just going to scream it back in now. Next bit of news is something that my Supercoach team, who is clinging on for dear life, is so grateful for. Wade Egan is back for the New Zealand Warriors. So those that still have Wade Egan, and I was hanging on to him with Riley Smith as my spare hooker. It's nice to not have to look at my AE now and go, well, let's look at these guys. And all of a sudden, Tui was back last week for the Titans. That went well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. Next up, we've got Turbo holds his fullback spot, but Lehigh is back onto the wing. And Yo out once again. There was some sneaky rumours around that he would be back. That is yet to happen. I've seen Cleary's presser sort of thing today where he hasn't really confirmed a time frame yet either for him. It's sort of like very relaxed about it, which I do get. I reckon with finals approaching, they're now basically guaranteed to play that. I wouldn't be rushing Yo back either. So I know it's some big few games got coming up, but I think the long-term picture for the Penrith Panthers is the premiership, and that's what they're looking at. Trav, those three?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think top 4 is well in their sights. If not, they haven't locked it away, but I think it's theirs. So either way, but they won't get further than 4th. They'd be very surprised if they go to 3rd or any further. So that 4th place is where they're at. So yeah, I agree. I think they do play cautious with Yo, and And I saw on the NRL physio that like it was very odd that the Panthers came out and said it was only a 1 weeker. He thinks this is at least a 2-3, if not 4 weeker. So unfortunately I'm a Yo owner and was hoping he'd come back this week, but I can't play with that. Good news for the Turbo owners or people with trades who are looking at him. Because I kind of had a feeling Lehigh might come back, and I know that Seabolt seems to be pretty stubborn in his ways, and is looking at Lehigh as a fullback. And we all have predicted, and we've said it for a few weeks now, that we think if Manly are going to get any further, Turbo has to play fullback. Turbo is a freak at fullback. Scored a try last week at fullback, so he's certainly coming into his own. I think he's a really good trade target for the rest of this week. For the rest of this year, they've got a solid draw coming that I think is good for him in terms of obviously every game's meaningful. So he's going to have to play. They've got the Tigers this week. I think the Dolphins the week after, the Dragons tough. And that last game against the Warriors, I reckon, is almost going to be will we make the 8? So all meaningful games for Turbo at fullback just means screams to me numbers.
All games that I could see Turbo scoring really well in as well. So as a guy with no trades left and some of these fullbacks not doing ideally at the moment, has me very worried about where it sits with ranks and head-to-heads and things like that. I think if someone out there has a trade or two, Turbo would be someone I would really, really be looking at. So
I agree. If I had a trade, I'd be, and although I know what the Cowboys run's coming up, obviously with the Knights this week, then the Tigers, I just don't like the way the Cowboys are playing. Plus, I don't like what I'm seeing in the media. Plus, I don't like all the news around the coach and and the effect that's happened. I'd be very, very, very eager to make a trade of Drinky to Turbo.
Yeah, I agree there. Next up, Connor Tracy has been named in the reserves, which I know a lot of Supercoach owners of Carraz are looking at and praying to say, please come back this week. Get Carraz back out to that wing where he just continually scores remarkably. Remember, we all basically did say we were a little bit worried about Carraz going back to fullback and his numbers and how that would affect it. So it hasn't gone ideally. It hasn't gone completely to the wayside either. So, but it would be nice to see that go back to normality and Carraz do what he does on the wing for us super coaches. Britt Nakora has been suspended out for basically the rest of the year. So that's probably been my worst signing or worst buy in Supercoach for this year. Really thrilled about having him on the books. And especially at a week where I lose both my Raiders edge back roles, it's really great timing. Thank you very much, Nakora. And the last one, Walsh, an option now that he's goal kicking. And it looks like he'll be doing a lot more of the playmaking roles. Personally, I'm not always the biggest fan of that because I feel like he hasn't learnt to not overplay his hand. He'll do that a lot. But at the same time, they do have a couple of games there that he could go pretty large. We've seen it already in the last couple of weeks. So that could happen once again. Trav, anything on those?
Yeah, look, Jacob Carraz, I'm not sure what you're talking about it. It hasn't been bad the last couple of weeks. He went into the game against West Tigers playing out on the wing, averaging 82.6. That was his average as he went into this game as his first game in fullback, and he's pulled out a 66 and a 47. So he's just got himself an average of 55 over the last 2 weeks. So that's a 30-point drop. That's bad.
Better than zero.
Yeah, well, that's true, but that's bad. That's not what we want of Carraz. And we all thought that Carraz being at fullback we didn't all think of it, but the positive around in the chat was that, well, he's just a workhorse. Like, he's going to get lots of runs and things, but there's a difference between the runs as a fullback for Jacob Carraz and what he does on the edge. And yeah, it just hasn't worked out at this point in time, and the way that he's been playing. And it's been like a bit of a funny hybrid role with Crichton. Now, Crichton's been the beneficiary of the points and the setup than Carraz has, and it's hurt Carraz. So yeah, I am praying Connor Tracy comes back this week. Praying. The other, and my other one is, look, you summed up Nicker really well, but Walsh, I legitimately think Walsh is an amazing trade target. I think the next 4 weeks, as you said, it's definitely going to be a few more errors. We know that he's going to try to be a bit of a quarterback, and probably that comes with being able to throw a few forward passes. That was my favorite meme of all. That was my favorite meme of all year. The Denver Broncos signing a new recruit. We know it's going to come with a few errors, but I think it also means I think it also locks down a few line break assists, a few extra try assists, and I think he breaks through a few lines for a couple more tries. He's just going to have to. And then not only does that mean anything that does that not only mean extra points there, he's going to be kicking. And Walsh is actually a pretty good kick. So, I love that trade. I think if you've got one and you can get it, I'll be getting Waste Wells.
Yeah, I had a mental blank there. I forgot you have the goal kicking duties as well. So that's huge. So, yeah, out there, it's very interesting whether you go for the guy who's done it in the past and proven himself in turbo, or you go the risk factor and you go Reece Walsh with the additional goal kicking there as well to hopefully get him a few more extra points for those that take the leap. So I know there's a few out there that have been on Walsh for a fair few weeks now. They've ridden the roller coaster, which we all know is Reece Walsh. Be interested to know how many more jump on, and we might be able to find that out now when we go into our top trade in and outs. When I look at the most trades and the players, it's really interesting. It's all over the shop. There is no consistent sort of real players here. Obviously, Ezra Mann's pretty big. There was a lot more people on Ezra Mann than I realised, actually. So he's a frequent trade out. But who they're going to, it's very up in the air, which we're going to go to now. So the trade outs, top 10%, as we always do. So top of that list is Britton Nakora, who obviously won't be playing again for the rest of the year. So that's self-explanatory, I feel like, in my opinion. The only annoying thing there is only 466K. So it's not a lot of money to go to some of these guys you're probably wanting to go to either, is it, Trav?
No, it's shocking. Hey, but the key point to this is have a look at how much he's lost all up. Minus 215K. That's not the knicker of what we have known to come and love, which I think just goes down to straight up the way they've been playing. Plus, I think that's an AFB effect. And unfortunately, the AFB effect has not helped him. To be fair, if we go through the whole list here, there's only a couple that I think really need to be mentioned here because most of them are injury, like Nikara's injury, Herbie's not playing again, Ezra Ram's out, Pappenhausen trade out. I like just because of the unpredictability of what's gone on. Like he's got some random concussion that no one knows about, whether that's actually even true. Because I don't remember at all last week him getting knocked so like that. We even have a concussion issue that's a roll-on effect the week after. And Kula Matangi is obviously an injury. And there's a couple of other ones that I think maybe we should probably spend some time or a couple of minutes on.
Yeah. So you mentioned Herbie's 2. Scotty Drinkwater, who actually is playing at the moment, is 3. But I feel like that's probably what you mentioned. It's been a bit up in the air at the moment. His form hasn't been fantastic. There's 2 fullbacks at the moment that probably most people are looking at going to, and I'm going to assume that they're probably going to using Scott Drinkwater. So you did mention a little bit earlier. Is there anything else you wanted to add on what you said earlier, or I'm pretty much on that bandwagon?
Just around Scott Drinkwater. Yeah, look, I'm concerned. Like, he's 646K. He's got a break even of 140. It's just taken a bit, 140 exactly. The last 2 weeks against not superior competition, let's be fair. And he's got a 34 against defensive competition anyways. And he's got a 34 against the Sharks and a 43 against Para. Now, I'm not having to go at either of those teams, but, over the course of the year, those teams defensively have offered some pretty good points to fullback center players. And he's put up a 34 and a 43 in those 2 games off the back of an 87 and a 91. Then he got a 49 before that. So it's just been unpredictable. Look, he has a much better average at home. They're going back home.
He's having a coughing fit.
Sorry. He's back at home and he does average 74 at home. He plays the Knights. So that run, it's a really good matchup for him, but I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on what I'm watching of the Cowboys. And he could easily get a 40 this week. and the Cowboys win this game by 20 odd, you know, I'm not happy. And I think we've got a couple of really good targets. And I think there's high upside in both of them. I think there's higher upside in Walsh. And I think we're looking at, obviously, that's a very risk and reward type play. And Turbo is also, but I think you summed it up really well. Like, Turbo's got the history. The only thing that's wrong with Turbo at the moment is whether he gets injured or not. That's the only concern I've got with Turbo. Both good options, both going to be really good pods. Currently, the top 10%, 107 people have traded Drinkwater to Turbo. So that's the biggest trade of Drinky. And a chunk of them have done that to Walsh. But I think that's a really good target. I think it'd be an easy trade out.
Yeah. So they got the Knights this week, Tigers next week, Broncos the week after, into a bye last round 27. So it probably is a good time to get off Drinky. You can probably cling on for one more, hoping that he does score well against a depleted Knights team. But at the same time, you're looking at, like, as you said, the run for Walsh at the moment looks really, really enticing. So almost if you are making that trade, you are doing it this week and just swallowing the fact that he might score well this week, because either fullback you're going to probably will score well also. Ezra Mann was 4, and we've basically that's self-explanatory. I don't think we need to go into that at all. He's gone for the year. I'll be interested to see when we go over the page who they're going to when it comes to Ezra Mann, because at the moment only 461K. So those want probably doing either a double trade to go to someone either keeperish sort of guys that you want to be playing, but we'll see what happens there. Fifth, I'm interested in because
I could tell you. Currently, 51 people have traded. Well, the biggest trade at the moment is to Jaden Campbell, and then the next one under that is Cam Munster. But look, it's not huge. We're at that point of year where we don't have thousands of people making trades, but these are pretty big pods and big moves that people can make if you've got them. So yeah, at the moment they're just upgrading to JC and Munster.
I love either of those if you can make it happen. So what's the actually probably you have to look into it too much, but what's the price difference with Munster and JC for man? I'm guessing you probably have to save a little bit of bickies or have some in the bank.
Jaden Campbell's 697. So what did we say? Walsh, Ezra Mann
461.
Yep. So just over 230. And Munster is 607. So he's 90K cheaper.
Yeah, a little bit of bickies there. Fifth, I mentioned Zach Hosking. I am a Zach Hosking owner still. 602K, obviously the buy this week. And then by all reports, Mark Nichols is available from next week. So if I had a trade left, I probably would be making this trade this week and getting Hosking out over Nakora, just because obviously 602K much easier to go to someone using that sort of funds. And I just think Hosking will probably be impacted moving forward from next week. What I have liked, though, is he has spent a bit of time in the middle over the last couple of weeks. I feel like they're trying to prepare for Mark Nichols to be back into this side. So I'm a bit of a nervous owner, especially considering I have no trades left and I already have one spot now wasted by Nakora. Not ideal. And I did notice last week from a Parramatta side of things, Geimer, who I do have, had his minutes cut because Kelmer's sort of back in and around the side. So I'm very nervous at the moment, probably more so than many out there. But Trav, Hosking, you don't own him, do you?
No, I don't own him. I'd be trading him out, to be fair. I think the Nichols, there's been lots and lots of chat for weeks now that Nicholson's coming back, which obviously tells you what their belief is. Although they have signed Hosking, they've re-signed him. So there's obviously plans for him and they love him around the club. But yeah, that concerns me. At 600K, he's at a good price. You can pretty much get him to anyone. You're a Hosking owner. Is there someone you would be targeting right now? I've got a couple of options, but who would you go as a Hosking owner now?
Selfishly, I haven't looked because I have no trade. So I didn't even look this afternoon because I thought I don't want to do it to myself. I'm in a dark mind when it comes to my edge back rolls this week. So I didn't look too closely. I probably would have been going to probably Preston. I don't mind Preston or the kick-out factor. I'd be looking at one of the Dogs players. I also don't. Oh, no, I'll stick with those two. Those two will probably be my main guys I'd be going to, because I'm assuming most out there already have your Katoas, and actually Angus Crichton would be someone I'd probably look at as well.
Yeah, so in the top 10%, these are who I'd be looking at. So Aaron Clark is someone I'd be looking at 54% owned in the top 10%, which obviously means that 46% don't own him. I actually think Tino would be a really good target. If he's come back now, I'd say that they're probably going to play him out for the rest of this year. And he's currently owned at 47%, the top 10%. So he'd be a really good one. Loving the work that I'm seeing from AFB in the last couple of weeks. Picked up his minutes with a 55 and 59 minute game, got an 84 against the Cowboys and a 69 against the Dragons. There is a bye coming up in round 25, which is after this week, and depending on how many Sharks guides you've got, but I think for this week, you should be right to cover you should be able to cover that one bye for the Sharks players next week. So I think AFB would be a really good target, unless you're obviously holding Nika or whatever because you don't have the trades. I think that's another one. And I like one Viliami kick-out again. He was one of my pods that I picked up a few weeks ago that I mentioned. But yeah, just look, I mean, it's volatile. He's got a 90 against Manly, then against the Tigers, and then a 71 against New Zealand. To be fair, in a couple of those games, it's pissed down rain. It's been horrible weather. It's not been great for an edge back rower like Kickow, who does rely on runs and receipts. But a 71 last week against New Zealand in a really good match for them, I think is a good one. But I'll tell you who my favourite one is. And surely there's some jewels. My favourite option is Lindsay Smith. The dude is on a tear, man. He is on an absolute tear. And I want all of that if I could get him. And I can't. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I wish I could go back and make a couple of those trades. I wish I didn't go Yo. I also, slightly wish I didn't get Haas, even though he had a good week last week. But I kind of wish I didn't, because if I had have had Smith, when I said I was going to get him, I'd be about 200 points up on what options I did pick. So I wish I had got him, but he's just killing it at the moment. And I reckon he's going to continue.
Just shout out to the weather gods. Can we please make sure we have a good weekend? Weather-wise, we are in need of a nice Sydney weekend for some really good rugby league. 6 on the list, Ryan Pappenhausen, we've spoken about him. Kyo Weeks is 7. The bye, obviously, once again. Keon Kalamatangi, people have still got him. They're getting rid of him now this week. Josiah Karapani, who's been named this week. Some people are getting off. And the last one, Dylan Edwards.
I would not be trading Karapani, Joel.
Yeah, I was going to let you jump in now. Yeah, I'm with you. I would not be trading him this week. I can see some points being scored in this one.
Yeah, I can too. I think there's going to be points really much so scored, especially on that edge that he's going to be on. Look, the last 2 games, he got a 33 and a 36. To be fair, that game against Para, they lost, and Brisbane sucked, and Para didn't let them look good. I think got a decent run, Dolphins, Newcastle, Cowboys, Melbourne, and they're not going to drop him now. Like, Cobbo's out for the rest of the year, so he's got that spot. Cobbo basically just took it off him. Yeah, I would not be trading out Karapani. And I also wouldn't be trading out Dylan Edwards, and cannot believe that I'm seeing in the top 10% people trading out Dylan Edwards. What are people thinking?
Yeah, I was a bit shocked by that. I know they've got a pretty tough run coming up, but I just feel like they're not slowing down. They got some form at the moment. I think Dylan Edwards is in his best form of the season and doesn't look to be slowing down anytime soon. So I would be holding on to Dylan Edwards as well. I'm a bit shocked by that one.
Oh, I'm not even concerned about the matchups like Melbourne, Canberra Bulldogs. I get it. Like, it's Dylan Edwards. Like, he is just a beast workhorse, man. Like, he's still going to get his 250 meters. He's going to get all his carries. He's going to be thereabouts with it. He might not get that try, so the attacking stats might not be around as much, but he's still going to put out 70s. Like, I'm not sure what they're thinking. I would not be looking at Dylan Edwards at all.
All right, agree. Traded in. I just looked over to this side, and it's very interesting. I just opened it up, and obviously it goes to all coaches first. James Tedesco is top of that list. Then I want to go to 10%. James Tedesco isn't even on the list. So it just shows you where things are at when it comes to the 10%. And just slight differences. Like Tedesco for mine, as soon as you could have got him in, as we've seen sort of his year go, he was just a no-brainer in my opinion. So it just shows you that the timing of getting some of these players in is so critical. And
There's a reason why some people are not in the top 10% because you didn't have Teddy.
Not having James Tedesco, and now you're chasing points, even though he's shown in the past. You're not really chasing because he's a gun. He'll probably do it again. Not probably as high, but he'll probably get another big one in before the end of the year. So it's just what James Tedesco does. But in the top 10%, it's to another fullback, Tom Trbojevic, which we've spoken about. 631K. I think we've both said it already, and I don't think we need to say too much more on this one. I don't mind it at all. I like the Manly sort of run home. They run home Tigers this week, who have shown some improvement. Dolphins, who we're very, very worried about them without Herbie. It's a really big loss. The Dragons, who are really finding some form at the moment. They've got the slightest hope of making finals, which I don't think will happen, but they're playing as if they believe. And then the last one is the Warriors, which could be anything, like you sort of said earlier, Trav. So I don't mind this turbo shout at all. I just can't make it. Yep, there's a bit of a stress about his injury, but at the same time, it's the last 4 weeks of Supercoach. It's the third last week if you're doing head-to-heads. You got to take a chance, and this could be one that really pays off for you, or the opposite, and might be the reason you lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he gets injured or pulls a hammy or gets concussed or something like that. And that's the definite risk. Whereas you're going for Walsh with the view that he's probably going to have a game where he puts out a 20 or a 30, but has 100 in him, 110 in a couple of other ones. So, for me, I actually would prefer Walsh. I just think the only reason why is and I'll preface this with this thought of, if it was the Broncos full list, I would be picking Turbo in a heartbeat way before I pick Walsh. But this is different. Now they're missing both Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds, which means Walsh is now going to have to kick in a team that will still score points. They are still a scoring team. Ben Hunt will lead that team very well. It'll just be single-handedly, he'll lead that team really well. And he's going to need Reece Walsh's agility, his athleticism, and his line attack. He's just going to need that. So I think Reece Walsh is just in for some extra points because the ball's going to be in his hands. I just wouldn't look at his errors or anything like that. We know they're going to come. They come anyways, whether they've got a full list or not. So he's going to have a few extras. I think Reece Walsh is my favorite target between the two, but I actually don't think you could probably go too wrong either.
Yeah. Looking down at this list at the moment, there are some serious Supercoach players in this list. It is the business end of the year, and some big players in the top 10 are making some big moves, which I love to see. I'm just jealous that I can't make any myself. So I'll go down and then I'll just go back to the end of it, Trav, and just pick out a few that you wanted. So Harry Grant 2, Beau Fermor 3, Payne Haas 4, Jaden Campbell 5, Cameron Munster 6, Sammy Walker after a huge game on the weekend 7, Tino's back, so everyone's getting him back on board, and that Jewel will help out a lot in 8. Hines 9, even with that bye next week, and then Roger Tuivasa-Sheck 10. Anyone that you want to speak a bit more about?
That's updated since I looked, because I just updated it, and Aaron Clark's 9th and Nico Hines is 10th, so that's funny. A couple of names that I'll put out there. The rest of them are pretty self-explanatory. Beau Fermor in 3rd. I'm a very happy Beau Fermor owner. I'm not sure I would buy him right now. He's definitely someone of interest, and there's only 2 players in that. Really, there's only 2 players on the Titans team that I'm really keen on, and I own both of them, and that's JC and that's Fermor. I don't think Fermor has the upside that I like, that I want to get out of him. That I'd be making a trade right now. And I'd be looking at some of these other pod plays around. I would much rather Tino over Fermor now that Tino's back. I'd much rather Clark. I'd much rather Kickow. Lindsay Smith. I'd rather a few of these. I wouldn't be going for the Fermor play. That's just me. To be fair, I've had Fermor for a long time. I bought him before Origin, but I'm not sold on that right now with the end of this year, by the end of this year. And the other one, I think, and I called for this a couple of weeks ago in a bit of a post that I put together before the Melbourne game, was I think Sam Walker is on. And I think he's the pod play that people should be looking at to get into. Currently picked in 1.4% of teams in the top 10%. What is he? Just to let everyone know. It does take time to go through all this. Here we go. He is currently picked in 1% across the board. So
Wow.
on the back of an 80 against the Storm in a game they lost in the end, a 93 against Manly and 119 against the Dolphins. This whole team revolves around Sam Walker, and I think having Savala as his half mate just works perfectly for him. I think Sam Walker's on a tear. I think he's going to continue on a tear. I think he does really well against the Bulldogs this week, although I know the Bulldogs are a good defensive team, but the ball's just going to be in Walker's hands the whole time. Then got Para. Then we just saw him score 80 against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. He's got Melbourne again. He's got the Rabbitohs. I really love that play. And if I had a trade, I think he's the halfback that I'd be going for over anyone else, even Cleary.
I don't mind it. I do not mind that at all. And I think with the run home, even though Cleary's basically fixture proof, I think that might edge Sam Walker slightly above. And the fact that, they got the Dogs and the Storm in that, which isn't easy. And then they've got their arch rivals round 27 as well thrown in there. That'll be a grudge match. Anything could happen there. There could be 20 injuries. Who knows? It could take each other's heads off. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is sort of they're playing for their season. Every game at the moment matters to them. So Sam Walker needs his hands on that ball more than any other player. And I think we'll see that.
It goes beyond that, though, Joel. Like we know right now that point differential is actually a really key point to ladder. So it's not even about it is about wins and losses, but it's also about putting points on the board and limiting what the other teams do. That massive win on the weekend against the Dolphins, where they won by 50 points, that's fixed that point differential enormously. So that they're going to be looking to score all the way to the end of the game, which just bodes so well for someone like Sam Walker, who's going to have the ball in his hands, making play after play after play. I love that call. I think Sam Walker is a pod moving forward. When he's only 1% owned, holy moly.
I agree. This is the time of the show where we would normally go into our trades. We both don't have trades, like we have said a couple of times now. So, unfortunately for us, even though there's a number of players we do like the look of, and I'd love to trade one or two of these players out that I currently have, we will be sitting on nothing. So we'll eat a donut, which probably isn't a bad thing. It might be because starting to put on a bit of weight, but we'll just eat a donut and just enjoy ourselves with no trades, no stress at least. But Jesse will let you legends know what he does this week. No doubt he'll bring some big gun in and. Yeah, he'll just.
I'm not doing anything today, guys.
Yeah, he'll flaunt something. VC and C though we can do, and this is a very interesting week. I looked this afternoon, and I'm still looking at the moment, and there is some options, but at the same time, you'd love them to be versing slightly easier teams to be better options because. Yeah, there's a few little things. Talk to me, Trav. What are you thinking at the moment when it comes to your C and VC?
It's early, and so I've been looking at the most popular captain choices and VC captain choices, part of the SC Gold in your subscription. But it's tough. It's early. Currently, I've got my VC sitting on Nico Hines, and I've got my captaincy sitting on Jaden Campbell currently. I'm confident I will make that change. I actually like the Nathan Cleary VC on Thursday into just a straight captain of Nico Hines. So I tend to think
they verse each other. Sharks, Titans.
Yeah, so I think what I'll end up doing is, as I said, I'll VC Cleary on Thursday and then just go straight captain into Hines and do it that way. So I think I might go that way. So I'm thinking around that. And then I don't have to muck around with the volatility around JC and what I'm doing. I just think Nico Hines is going to absolutely belt it. So yeah, that's where I'm thinking at the moment. 40% are on Cleary in the top 10% for the VC. 17% on Nico Hines. Teddy at 8.3, and then the rest is 4s and 3s. And then for the captain at the moment, Cleary's at 17.2, but that changes. He plays on Thursday night. 16% are on JC against the Sharks, and 10% is on Lomax, and that's another one that I like as well. Lomax against the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, this is a tough week for VCC in my opinion. I've gone the VC on Cleary. I think the no pappy helps the free Penrith up slightly. And I've got my C. I don't normally like doing, especially this time of year. We know some of the backs and things like that have been scoring quite well in Supercoach, but I've actually gone Terrell May on Sunday as my C against a Manly pack that just hasn't really excited me at all at the moment. So that is very likely to change, but at this rate, I'm looking at a sort of a meat and potatoes captain this week, which I have not done for months. And just because a lot of them just aren't really, like even Lomax really sort of erred on the side of caution last week, his performance, because it wasn't ideal. A lot of those kicks where he just sort of puts a hand out now, he's not really committed, it doesn't feel like, to some of them. So I'm not entirely over that one. The other one I like is Payne Haas against the Dolphins. We've seen what happens to the Dolphins at the moment, so I don't mind the Payne Haas shout either as the C. Nico at Shark Park, and that could be anything, but I just haven't really liked the Sharks lately. But knowing us and knowing the Sharkies, how they are, this will be the week they turn it on. Like they were poor last week. They'll come back this week and they'll make everyone believe they're a top 4 team again. And then they'll just go and shit the bed once more. But yeah, I'm all over the shop, to be honest, mate. I'm all over the shop with it.
Yeah, it's early. It's Tuesday. There's still a few things to come through. Just so that you know, at the moment, Payne Haas is 4% captained. Who was the other one? You said Terrell May's 8.4% captain. Yeah. So a couple of good options. There is a thought. I mean, obviously 10% are sitting on Drinkwater as a captain this week at home. They know that he scores well at home. As we said, I think he's a trade out target or a good one. I don't mind the trade out, but and he could just as well score this week. But I think you're better off having a Walsh or a Turbo than Drinky. But yeah, that's not a bad option to pick him either.
Yep, I agree. Our Sit V starts a bit easier this week, and with a few of my key players out that would normally make this a much harder decision. I'll be on my bench. I've got Drinky. I've got Marky Mark, even though it's against the Dogs. I'm going that upside factor. Matty Burton, who I think hopefully will just have one of his better games. Nico Hines as well, which means I'll be sitting out Riley Smith, which I'm so thankful for. I don't have to look at him and go, is he going to be my AE this week? Big Royce Hunt as well. I don't have to worry about his 10 as my AE, so that's great. And my other one that I won't be playing this week is a Sarko, which I didn't mind the Broncos matchup. I've just gone so off the Dolphins at the moment with no Herb. It's really, really impacted how they are performing. So what about yourself, Trav? You mentioned you don't have that many options either this week, but what are you thinking?
I've got Teddy, but that's because I've got Drinky starting. I've got Marky Mark just sit on the bench, but I am playing a Sarko. I'm pretty happy with the Sarko this week. I think he had a stinker last week. I reckon he'll be fine this week. I'm playing Cleary because I've currently got the VC on Hines. So Cleary, so it'll either be Cleary or Hines as a reserve. And I've got it on Wishart, but that's because I would have and was hoping to have put it on Yo, but he's out. So yeah, and I'm sitting the Goz this week with a couple of Raiders boys.
He's just clinging onto your team, the Goz. He's been there. Has he been there from the start?
Yep.
Look, yeah, he's one of those players. We'll do our big review podcast, obviously, in a few weeks' time, but we go over those guys that we've held on to from the start. So little hot place in your heart. So go the Goz for you. I think Royce Hunt has been my one. So good on Royce. He actually lost me money. So what a great buy and started the season he was. So That's all we've got time for, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Obviously, we have missed Jesse's numbers and stats and things like that, but I hope we've done a pretty good job of filling in for that one. As always, smash that like and comment button, subscribe, all that sort of thing. Let us know how you're going. Let us know if you have any trades left, money, things like that. We're always interested to know. Join the Legends group if you can. Facebook subscriber group, $2.99 per month. And we will check in with you all tomorrow night for our Wednesday night live show, which there is plenty to discuss. It promises to be a pretty big show. So make sure you come in and have your say on all the matters around the game at the moment. So thank you, Trav. Thank you very much, mate. And thank you once again, League of Inches, the Sava Sports, for all our League of Inches merch. So thank you to Freedom Finance Group, Caxton Street Brewing Company. Goodbye. See you next time.